Hello guys, welcome to my YouTube channel Rahul in Wanderland. Before I go into my vlog, I wanted to thank you all for subscribing to my channel. Rahul in Wanderland is now crossed 1000 subscribers and I think we are nearing around 2k subscribers. So thank you for your love. If you're watching this video and if you're not yet subscribed to my channel, please watch the video. If you like this video or any other video on my channel, please do subscribe to my channel and hit the bell icon for the notification. Okay, now let's come to the topic of the vlog. Cycling. When it comes to cycling, when we hear the word cycling, the first thing that comes to anyone's mind is hobby. Cycling is a hobby. Today's world, when we have more number of vehicles on the road than the number of people, pollution level has crossed all the limits. Commuting time has increased rapidly. In this situation today, I don't think cycling should be a hobby. I think cycling is a necessity. Cycling is a need of the hour. I used to cycle in my school days, then I left in college days, then I started working. When I came to Bangalore, I started cycling again. There are a lot of weekend gateways around Bangalore. That's the main reason I started cycling. I'm cycling for the last 7-8 years in Bangalore and I'm enjoying a lot. I recently started cycling to work. So I commute to work by cycle. It's around 20 kilometers from my house to office and then the same from office to home back. Now when I started going on cycle, I found that the time taken to go to work on cycle is less than what it takes by any other transport like a public transport or a company shuttle, etc. It takes around 2.5 hours by any other transport compared to cycle, which takes me in 1 hour 15 minutes. Yes, 1 hour 15 minutes. However, there are a lot of issues that I face while going to office on cycle. One fine day, I took my GoPro and I tried to capture some footages along my way, which I'll show you in this video in the coming clips. However, the point is, cycling in India is still not up to the mark. The infrastructure is not good, safety is not good, roads are pathetic. According to my personal experience and doing some research on the internet, I came up with the top 10 things because of which people take a step back when it comes to cycling in the city. If you give them a chance to go in the forest areas and cycle, let's say take a cycle, put it on the cycle rack, drive to the forest. There are a lot of destinations: Turahali Forest, Savandurga Forest, Banerghatta Forest, Hennur Bamboo Forest. Just go to the forest, park your car, take the cycle and cycle. Enjoy the landscape, enjoy the climate, enjoy the surroundings, enjoy the nature, enjoy the peace, no traffic, no pollution, all good, fantastic. But if you tell them to cycle and go to work, go to school, go to college, go anywhere else, the answer would be no from most of us because of these 10 things. Number 1, terrible roads. These are the roads that we have today. Do you think anyone would go and cycle on these roads? Anything can happen. Can fall down, cycle can fall down, someone will knock you off from behind, anything can fall on you. Even though it's not your mistake, you can be the victim. So, terrible roads. Number 2, high pollution. City like Delhi, people are scared to even go out of the house. Forget about cycling. If they cycle in those kind of conditions, they'll end up having severe critical health issues, breathing issues. Number 3, lack of safety. That is again connected to the number 1 point, terrible roads. If the roads are terrible, there is no safety. However, there is also something known as mentality of people. So the people who are driving 2-wheelers, 3-wheelers, 4-wheelers, trucks, buses, they need to remember one point, that they are on horsepower, but the cyclists are on pedal power. So respect. Similarly, the cyclist should also take care. He or she need to have a helmet. In the night, he need to have a tail light, front light, first aid kit. All those things are very essential in order to have safety. Number 4 is something to do with the government. Now, Indian government needs to buckle up and have dedicated roads, that kind of infrastructure for the cyclists, so that they can freely cycle with a sense of comfort on the roads of India. Take an example of Netherlands. Their cycling culture started around 1912. It took them 100 years, but the the kind of government support, the kind of infrastructure, the kind of money that they invest in the kind of infrastructure for cyclists is commendable. And today they are the world's largest percentage of people going on cycles anywhere. Okay. Show that again. No bikes allowed. What do you mean by that? Today's situation, the vehicles on the road are more than the number of people. Traffic situation is horrible. Commuting time is increasing. Pollution is increasing. In this situation, you are saying no. Number 6, hit and run cases. This is very common. A cyclist going in the night, if he has protection, if he doesn't have protection, it's very much prone to a hit and run case, wherein people don't care, they drive rashly, and it's again, I'm saying it's a mutual responsibility. It's a responsibility of the cyclist also, and also of the vehicle driver. Number 7, cost of the bike. So Indian government needs to have a regulation on the prices of the cycles. They need to make sure that each and every Indian should be able to afford a cycle. Last but not the least, facilities and parking. Now, fortunately, my office has a shower room, has a change room, so that when I go on cycle for 20 kilometers, I am full of sweat. I can take a shower, freshen up, and start my work. Mind you, that's not the case with all other offices. There are so many offices in public sector, in private sector, government, etc., which do not have proper facilities. They need to take the initiative and install shower rooms, change rooms, locker rooms, so that the people working there feel like coming to work on cycle. Now, as I said earlier, that I commute to work on my cycle, so I managed to take some GoPro footages while going to office the other day, and I wanted to share with you these clips mainly to show you how difficult it is for a cyclist to ride a cycle on the roads during peak hours while going to office or while coming back.
7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
You'll never have the sacred stone.
Oh, this you crazy mother.
Okay, so as you can see, it's very difficult, right? It's terrible. There is no place for a cyclist. The cyclist has to climb on a footpath, cross the road using divider. So many things he or she has to do in order to reach office. Now at the same time, let me take you to the other side of the world. I wanted to take you to Copenhagen. Now Copenhagen is one of the cities in the world which has the largest cyclist population. 63% of the people living there ride on a bicycle. Be it a kid or an adult, be young or old, a boy or a girl, doesn't matter. 4 out of 5 people there have a cycle. They want to go to a school, they use cycle. They want to go to college, they use cycle. They want to go to work, they use cycle. They want to go to a party, they use cycle. They want to go everywhere, they use cycle. Anywhere and everywhere there is cycles there. Utility vehicles like a juice shop or a cycle taxi, lot of people use cycles there. Cycling is very common in Copenhagen, mainly because they have the infrastructure, a lot of other things which you will see in the clip now.
The Danish capital of Copenhagen is widely regarded as the best city in the world for getting around by bike. 63% of its citizens use pedal power to get to work or school. But why is cycling so popular here? And what can other cities learn from Copenhagen? Coming up are 5 reasons that make this city a cycling utopia. Build it and they will come. No, this doesn't just apply to baseball playing ghosts. This is also true when it comes to developing a city that's attractive to cyclists. Bike lanes are just the start of it. When you look at the likes of Copenhagen, it's structured so that cycling is clearly the easiest way to get around. Of course, infrastructure takes money, as well as a long-term plan. Although it certainly isn't cheap, the city's municipal council thinks it's worth it in the long run. They estimate that every kilometre cycled in the city has a net gain to society of just over 1 Danish kroner. That's quite substantial when you consider cyclists in Copenhagen rack up over 1.2 million kilometres every single day. When you look a little closer at the cyclists on the streets of Copenhagen, you realise that it's not just standard town bikes rolling by. In fact, utility bikes serve a number of functions in the city. Postal workers, street sweepers, police and taxi drivers all use customised bikes to get their work done. And cycling is used as a mode of transport 365 days a year. Snow rarely stops the hardy Copenhagen biker from getting around. A reliable and affordable bike share system is a great way for casual riders and tourists to get around. In fact, because there are so many people already riding bikes in Copenhagen, the bicycle and e-bike scheme is perhaps not as popular among citizens as you might expect. With that said though, nearly 1 million trips were made using the service in 2016. Bikes can take you a long way, but especially for people commuting in from outside city borders, cycling often has to be combined with other modes of transport to complete the journey. Fortunately, Copenhagen has got things covered. Up to 46 bicycles can be loaded onto their S-trains, free of charge, while bikes can also be admitted on buses and ferries.
Hey, welcome back. So, 5 key things, right? You just went through 5 key things which make any city a perfect cycling city. Number 1, infrastructure. Yes, Indian government and the state government needs to invest, needs to pay attention to the infrastructure. Whenever they are building anything new or modifying anything, they need to consider cyclists. They need to have dedicated cycling tracks. They need to have cycling marks on the roads indicating that this is a dedicated cycling track. Number 2, government support. If there is a state and central government support, definitely infrastructure will be fine. Bike culture. Now again, as I said earlier, it's a mutual responsibility. There should be a culture. There are a lot of groups today in everywhere in India which encourage cycling, which bring all the cyclists together, then they go out for a ride on weekends, etc. This is the culture, this is the encouragement that each and every citizen require in order to start cycling. Bike share will take some time. Transport integration. So transport integration, that's one of the most critical points, because let's assume that I want to go from here to maybe somewhere which is 50 kilometers from my house. There's no metro connection directly from my house, but I can cycle maybe for 5-6 kilometers, hop onto a metro, get down, cycle to my destination. So easy and convenient it becomes. That is the kind of infrastructure, that is the kind of infrastructure that Indian government needs to drive. There should be transport integration for people coming from outside, people coming from one city to another. They can carry their cycles over trains, buses, metros. Having said that, I want to end this vlog by saying that I hope that India becomes a country wherein we have that kind of infrastructure for a cyclist. If a cyclist wants to go out, maybe to school, to college, to work, wherever he or she wants to go, he should feel comfortable, he or she should feel secured, and he should enjoy cycling on the roads of India. If you like this video, please hit the like button. If you have any comments about this video, if I have said anything wrong, please do comment on this video so that I can correct it. It's time for me to go now, so take care, be safe, and keep smiling.
What's it like to cycle in the city where you live? Well, the Copenhagenized design company, who specialise in advising town planners on urban cycling, have ranked 136 worldwide cities based on 14 different criteria, including such things as cycling infrastructure, culture, and perceptions of safety. Here we present to you their leaders in cycling friendliness, starting with number 10. A healthy average of 13% of Berliners use their bikes to get around, and by the sounds of things, they're making their voices heard in the city. Berlin's cycling referendum is active in lobbying the city council to improve conditions further for cycling. It's great to see the world's largest and most densely populated urban area make a return to the index. It's estimated that around 4 million commuters use their bike to get to the train station every day, and this is reflected in the incredible bike parking facilities available in the city. The challenge for Tokyo is integrating more cycling-specific infrastructure in the busy metropolitan areas. Making solid progress up the rankings is Ljubljana, whose government is keen to lay the foundations for a solid bicycle network. With cycling gaining recognition in the planning process of new infrastructure, the network is in place for an influx of cyclists taking to the streets. The Copenhagenized Index still thinks there are a few too many cars in Ljubljana, but an increase in the cycling modal share should bump it up further in the rankings. An expanding bike share system, improved cycle parking at railway stations, and 3 new bicycle and pedestrian bridges have all contributed to Antwerp gaining a couple of places since 2015. The index suggests a clear political vision is required to boost their position further. Meanwhile, in Bordeaux, there is plenty of drive to improve conditions for cyclists. The City Council has outlined a 3-year plan, as well as earmarking €70 million specifically for cyclists. It's hoped that this clear and concerted effort to revise existing infrastructure will increase the modal share from 8% to a target of 15% by 2020. Setting an example to the larger Scandinavian cities is Malmö. Property developers have been inspired by the strong focus on cycling in the city, with entire apartment complexes being built with modern bike storage at the forefront of its design. Further development, such as plans to trial cargo bikes as refuse collection vehicles, is a key indicator that Malmö is keen on continuing to drive down the amount of car traffic in the city. Strasbourg continues to be the leader in terms of cycling friendliness in France. 16% of its population use their bikes to get around. The Velhop bike hire system has proved popular not just for tourists, but as a feasible long-term option due to the very reasonable price structure. The Copenhagenized Index looks favourably on the increasing amount of cargo bikes in the city and plans to integrate a cycle superhighway in the near future. Recognised for many years as the blueprint for cycling-friendly cities, this year's index has seen Amsterdam slide to 3rd place, making way to cities that are developing faster. However, the bicycle culture in the Netherlands is so heavily ingrained that despite a perceived lack of massive infrastructural changes in the last couple of years, it's still a wonderful city to get around on by bike. Edging ahead of Amsterdam as the best cycling city in the Netherlands is Utrecht, who are looking to capitalise on the momentum and the hard work they've put in over the last decade. We've seen some real innovation in bicycle urbanism, with this bridge, the Daphne Schippersbrug, being built over the top of a school. If you remember, we've also mentioned their flow system in a previous GCN show. It's a pretty nifty system to help cyclists negotiate traffic lights more safely and efficiently. The reigning champion in the cycling friendly cities rankings is Copenhagen. With some €130 million of investment over the past 10 years, there is plenty of work being done to support the 62% of Copenhageners who use their bikes to get around. In just a couple of years, there have been 8 new bridges built specifically for non-motorised transport, and new lanes and superhighways have been added. In fact, it's now becoming a bit of a struggle for town planners to keep up with the sheer volume of cyclists in the city. Now it's over to you guys. We want to know about your experiences with cycling in the towns and cities near you. Do you think your area deserved an honourable mention on this list?